And I figured I could teach you how to do what I do. Is that okay? Yeah, is that all right? Okay, good. Well, who's ever been to a monster truck event? Maybe Monster Jam, maybe, okay. So there's a competition that we have in Monster Jam that everyone loves the most. I call it the crowning jewel, and it's our freestyle competition. So that's where we get to go out there, and for 120 seconds, we just get to create the most carnage that we possibly can, right? So that's where you see the big air and the backflips and all that fun stuff. But I want to walk you through what goes into my mind in kind of a quick, maybe synopsis of one of my freestyle runs. Can we do that? Okay, let's play this first video, and I'm going to walk you through this. It's going to be chaotic and fun and fast-paced. This was actually in Atlanta, Georgia, I think. So anytime I start off my freestyle run, I want to get some big air because I want to test out the truck a little bit and see if I can get the fans out of their seats. And so I'll go, and I won't do anything too crazy right away, but I got to get some big air. I want to see if that truck is working for me or against me. That was, by the way, a really hard landing. So I knew the shocks didn't feel that great, but I want to get around the truck and get the fans yelling. I got to switch it up, though. A little bit of technical move with a little bit of a sky wheelie, but everybody loves the backflips. We got to get the fans engaged, right? So 12,000 pounds upside down, and the rule is once you hit that backflip, you hit the biggest jump out there on the floor, get some massive air, get a little bit uncontrolled, if you will. The fans thought I was about to wreck. And then you just have to, at the very end, roll the dice and just see what the truck will give you. Not a bad day at the office, right? Not a bad day at the office. Can you imagine getting out of the truck and something cool that happens and the fans are just yelling and they're engaged and everybody. You know the coolest thing about all this is you never forget a moment like that. And I think we're so hungry a lot of times in our lives for those real life experiences, especially after the disastrous last 2 years going through all this junk that we've been through. We want those real life experiences and memories together, don't we? Well, you never forget. If you've never been to a Monster Jam event, you never forget the first time you see a truck fly through the air, okay? So I got to bring you out to that. Well, everybody loves what? The backflips, don't you? All right, so I want to, let's teach you how to do one. Can we do that? All right, let's play this next video. And I know you saw a video in that freestyle competition. Oh, the next video, one more fast. Might have to fast forward it. Yep, oh, yep, one back there. Yep, right. There, a little more back. Right, a little bit more, yeah. There we go. All right. So let's break this down for just a second. Now, I told you, after you land that backflip and the fans start screaming their faces off, you got to just hit the biggest jump on the floor, don't you? Right? So the fans are yelling their faces off, and I'm kind of yelling my face off inside the truck as well. And again, you roll the dice. I didn't mean to crash it. Some people were like, oh, do you do that on purpose? No. But I will say, I've got some cool onboard footage that I want to show you from my vantage point, because that's cool, but what do I see? Can I show you that? Okay, keep it going for me, Charles. Now, here's what's kind of interesting, right? So you saw that it's very chaotic from my vantage point, and you're trying to not get lost in the shuffle with everything. But right here, when I turn that corner, I'm picking out a specific spot. It might be the size of a quarter on that dumpster, okay? On that container. And I'm going to watch that spot all the way in as I approach it, because as soon as the front tires come close and hit that dumpster, I've got to give it all the throttle I've got to get that 12,000 pounds to rotate. Now here I'm upside down. I'm about 15 feet off the ground. I know it looks like I'm laying on the dirt, but what I'm looking for is that dirt to come back into my peripherals, because there's so much energy and physics behind those tires turning that is causing the truck to rotate, and it'll over-rotate. And so actually when I see that dirt, the first thing I do is I hit the brake. It actually stops the tires from turning and rotating. It slows that rotation down on the truck itself to hopefully land on all four tires. And trust me, I'm so pumped in this moment that that's why I gotta go hit the biggest thing on the floor, okay? So let's watch it one more time in full speed. And I missed reverse, by the way. Did you hear that? Bang, bang. So that's cool for me, and of course this is what it looks like from your vantage point. And you know, after you sat in that cab with me, you know why you've got to just say, hey, whatever happens, happens. Again, let's roll the dice, give the fans a little bit of an experience, and make sure that they remember what it looks like when you backflip something that weighs 12,000 pounds and stands that tall, right? Yeah, come on. All right, so I get asked all the time, what's your hardest hit, you know? What's the hardest hit you've ever taken? Can I show you that video? All right. Now, what's cool about this stuff is that Monster Jam, you know, when you think about NASCAR and you think about all this stuff, they don't get the kind of data that we get from a safety standpoint. And right here, I get this slow motion. It kind of rebounds me hard. That spot right there, you can see the dirt flying up. That was all cage. I try to correct it. Honestly, I overdid it. And this second hit right there was... I don't say lights out for Bryce, but it was the second cage hit where I was seeing Tweety birds for a couple hours, okay? But that was actually, so even though it was slowed down a little bit, anytime that you saw the big silver poles, I'll call them, right? But those are our shocks. Each tire has 2 shocks per truck, and they can travel up to 30 inches, okay? So your car out there in the parking lot can only travel about 6 inches. So that's the difference. But that enables us to do this stuff. Sometimes those shocks work against us, and that's what tossed the truck over on the roof. And when you hit all cage, you don't have those nice, beautiful hydraulic shocks to soften the blow, and I feel pretty much every bit of that, okay? So, but it is a lot of fun, because I started to tell you, NASCAR and NHRA and the other motorsports, there's just simply not enough data for wrecks, okay? So we wreck these things all the time. So they love us. You know, all the safety equipment people that manufacture and innovate this stuff, we typically get the best equipment and material because they want to bring it to us and give it to us, and we can go try. I can know in one jump if this new thing is good or bad, all right? So the hardest hit, I can tell you, I may have seen some Tweety birds for about the night, but I woke up and I was okay? Now, here's what's cool. We're going to end with this on these videos at least. Everybody loves Monster Jam saves, all right? So, and what a save is you know, we're sitting there tumbling and we're crashing in the truck, and if you're fortunate enough to be, I call it being lucky and good, that's when the best moments in a monster truck happens. But it's where you're able to catch some traction some way, and where everyone thinks your run is over, you just shock everybody and you're able to grab it, and instead of crashing and ending up on your roof, or the crane of shame, as I call it, comes out to get you to flip you back over, instead of that moment, you're able to save it and you bring it back on all fours, and the crowd goes nuts. More than the big air, more than the cool crashes, or more than the backflips, there's nothing that I have heard louder in a stadium than when everybody, those 45,000 people that are in that football stadium, start screaming their faces off when we get one of these Monster Jam saves, okay? So can I show you a couple? All right, here we go. So this one actually was a couple years ago, it was in Syracuse. Now, you thought I was just, look at that crowd. Now, you thought that I was just being patient on the truck. My foot got knocked off the throttle, and I'm over there frantically trying to just find my foot on the throttle. That's why all of a sudden, it came back alive, and I was able to save it. Yeah, thankfully. Now, this was in Atlanta. Again, I'm watching for dirt, and I'm trying to get some sort of traction, because momentum is your friend. And once you get that momentum, though, you got to learn how to control it, which is what happened to me. It was the biggest moment so far. I would say the best save I've ever had was in Houston, Texas, right here. Now let's break this down for a second. So now I'm going to do some slow-mo. Now here was my mistake. The front tires, if you see, they were just slightly turned to the left. So when I bounced and that truck rebounded, it shot me over to the right. Now I'm trying to throttle through it. I'm trying to get some momentum. The back right tire, you see the roost coming off of that tire? I'm trying. I know that threw me awkward. I'm just trying to get a little momentum, right? Remember, momentum is your friend if you're a Monster Jam driver. The problem is that it still tossed me in such a way that I wasn't necessarily expecting, and I knew at this moment I was going for a ride. So as a driver, I'm sitting there thinking, just try to not get too disoriented. I'm looking for dirt because my goal is to turn those front tires into the dirt. Well, imagine being strapped into something that's that big, that weighs that much. You don't really know what's left and right. So right here, you'll see I turned, look at that, I caught it. I turned the front tires to the right. I happened to get the tires started to catch. I did not know that jump to the right, that big dirt pile was there. Thankfully, right, that was just I guess my prayer life was good that weekend or something, and it happened to be there. And I got the truck to rotate, and I got to bring back on all fours. But right here, I learned something. So a couple years prior to that, I was in Atlanta, and I got stuck on the sidewalls. And I just kept spinning and spinning like I was in some NASA, astronaut training thing. And someone shut me off from the stands. They can do that. They can shut the truck off. And it made the truck finally calm down. In this moment, I knew if I hit that brake, it would actually slow that twist of the truck down and bring it back down on all fours. And that's exactly what happened. So let's see it in full speed again. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're good. When it happens together, you talk about getting out of the truck and getting pumped up about that. And we actually we won the Save of the Year for that year. And man, that's just one of the coolest things because I knew that there were a lot of dots that had to connect for that to get pulled off. And it's funny too, because you hear me talk through this stuff and you can hear some of the thought process that goes on, but obviously when this stuff's going on, I'm not physically thinking one to the next thing to the next move, right? It's so much muscle memory, and that's the thing that blew my mind back in drag racing. I was always blown away at how quickly our brains process information, and it's always after the fact that I think back on it. And I think about the hundreds of decisions that I was making split second from what I heard the motor doing to what I felt in the truck and the shocks and everything going on and where I could see myself, and you're just adjusting. You do have to turn your brain off sometimes when you go out there and do that stuff. But it's a really cool job to have, isn't it?